Okay, here we have a question about blood plasma, glomerular filtrate, and urine, and the expected concentration of glucose in here. If you know your kidney stuff, there's not too much you need to think about for this question, but there are a lot of units that might be throwing you off a little bit. If you understand the sequence of how a nephron works inside the kidney, then you should be able to kind of come up with this diagram here. I'm going to mix it up a little bit. And you end up with something like this. And here you have capillaries feeding into something called the glomerulus, and this is your afferent arterial and efferent arterial. Basically, everything that's in this blood is going to be squeezed out through a process called ultrafiltration. The goal is to get urea out, because urea is the metabolic waste breakdown of amino acids and proteins, and so we don't want this stuff. So the goal is to get it out here into the collecting ducts to ultimately enter the urine. Problem is, this process of ultrafiltration also brings out all other small molecules as well too, including glucose and salts and amino acids. So when that stuff comes into here though, this proximal convoluted tubule does a lot of work here with active transport to actually reabsorb the glucose. We do not want the glucose making its way all the way out into here, otherwise you end up with urine in your blood. And if you were a doctor back in the day, one of the ways you would detect that your patients had urine is you would basically, there's probably a better way to do this, but they just stuck their finger or used some kind of thing into the pee and tasted it, found out it was sweet, and said, hey buddy, you've got some problems with urine, with glucose reabsorption, so you're probably diabetic. So what do we have to find here? Well, these numbers are all the same. So if the glucose concentration in the blood plasma is about 100 units, I'm not going to read the entire units here, 100 units, when it actually gets over here, well, all of it is actually going to come out through this process of ultrafiltration. So the glomerular filtrate, which is the stuff that is filtered from the glomerulus, which should be all the stuff that comes out here, shouldn't change. All of it actually comes out. There's no selective filtration here. This is actually trying to bring out small molecules, in particular urea, but large things like blood cells and enzymes and hormones are not actually coming out because they're just too big. But all of the glomerular filtrate that comes out will actually contain all of the glucose that was entered into here. So we should get the same number, which leads us to the answer of A already, but let's just double check. In the end here, glucose concentration in the urine, I told you if everything's reabsorbed properly, and they did say in a healthy individual, not someone who's messed up, then it should be zero glucose in the actual urine. So by looking at all the options that are available here, the correct answer should be A.